The Dogs are out. Georgia steamrolls rival Florida to set the stage for the game of the year in Athens on Saturday. Meanwhile, the Astros keep banging the ball. The home field advantage in the Fall Classic shifts to the city of brotherly love. And a couple of the NFL's biggest star seasons grow dimmer. All this and more on College Press Box.
Good evening and welcome into College Press Box. I'm your host, Jordan Geelhoed, and he's my wonderful co-host, Jason Kinander. We've got a great show for you this evening, so let's get right into it, starting with some of the most exciting moments in the world of college football.
This past week in college football was a little lukewarm compared to weeks past, but the outcomes of a few games set the stage for a highly anticipated Saturday slate next week, featuring games such as Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama, LSU. Before then, Georgia had to get through the Florida Gators, a hated rival who the Bulldogs have had their hands full with in years past. Let's send it down to Duval County to see how things played out. Okay, first quarter, Georgia getting on the board first as Jaron Edwards gets into the end zone for a touchdown, 7-0 Bulldogs on their first possession. They would double their lead here as Kenny McIntosh is able to scoot into the end zone from an inch out. Quick start for Georgia, no surprise there. Billy Napier and the Florida Gators looking to get on the board. Spoiler alert, they would not. Here in the second quarter, now if you are not familiar with Georgia tight end Brock Bowers, wrong highlight. Here's an interception thrown by Stetson Bennett. Unbelievable grab by Javarius Perkins, the Florida safety here. But it clearly would not amount to much as here's Georgia tight end Brock Bowers. And if you are not familiar with this name, you have about one more year to get familiar because the sophomore tight end is an absolute superstar. 73-yard touchdown there. Now looking over the middle. Here is Bennett into the end zone. That is Ladd McConkey, the slot receiver for the Bulldogs. The most dangerous lead in football at the break, 28-3. Now Anthony Richardson, the give to Tyson Etienne. He finds his way in. Florida cutting into the lead little by little. It's 28-10 now for the Gators in Jacksonville. Big play in this one. Anthony Richardson airing it out to a wide open Xavier Hutchinson. 30-20-10 end zone touchdown. It is a one-possession game for the first time since the fourth quarter. You see the cheerleaders doing the Florida chomp. The fans going crazy. Billy Napier says we're only going for 1 point. That was the closest they would get. Kenny McIntosh slips through the defense, finds the end zone. Back to a two-possession game for Georgia. They would put the final nail in the Florida coffin right here as it is McIntosh one more time. He finds his way in. It would finish as a 42-20 game for Georgia. They survive. They remain unbeaten. Little bit of a scare there in the third quarter for the Bulldogs, but the Gators, not too much competition.
Now, I am lucky to be joined by our college football analyst, Edly Termilien. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. Now, just because Texas didn't play this past weekend doesn't mean that there weren't some great matchups in college football. In fact, it might have made it even a little bit more enjoyable. So could you give us a quick recap of the best games you saw and maybe the biggest upset that occurred this weekend?
Yeah, I got 3 games for you. So Ohio State and Penn State going into the half. We thought the Buckeyes were going to be on an upset alert, but CJ Stout says not so fast, like he pulled a Lee Corso. So the Buckeyes came back in the fourth quarter with 28 points and beating Penn State 44-31. Next, I have a big upset. Unranked UCF versus number 20 Cincinnati. The Knights are ranked for the first time this season, beating the Bearcats 25-21. The Knights was led by their backup quarterback Mikey McKinley, finishing 15 out of 21 with 176 yards. But the big play was by their running back, Harvey, scoring a game-winning touchdown with a 17-yard run with 48 seconds left in the game. But last but not least, I got to talk about the number 10 Wake Forest and Louisville. Louisville has been trying to have the same success like they did with Lamar Jackson in 2017, but the Cardinals beat the Demon Kittens 48-21. The Cardinals defense was just all over the place, forcing the quarterback Sam Hartman to throw 3 picks and 3 fumbles. Altogether, the Wake Forest had 8 turnovers.
Yeah, you know I love that Lamar Jackson reference, so thank you for throwing that in there. That game is certainly a shocker of a result. I thought Wake Forest was winning for sure.
Yeah.
But now that we're 8 weeks into the college football season, the Heisman Trophy race is still tighter than ever. So who do you think are the top 5 college players in Heisman contention right now?
Well, number 5 is Tennessee's wide receiver Jalen Hyatt. Hyatt has 226 yards and 2 touchdowns last year, but this year he jumped from 907 and 14 touchdowns. He continues to be a key player for Tennessee's success. But he is one of the top receivers in college football right now, and Georgia is going to have a hard time covering him on Saturday. Number 4 has to be Caleb Williams from University of South Florida. When it comes to quarterbacks, he is a sleeper when it comes to this race. But although they did lose to Utah, they did bounce back this weekend with Arizona. Williams had 5 touchdowns and 477 yards, which is one of his best games in his career. Number 3 is we're going to Big Blue, Michigan. Blake McCorum has been consistent throughout the season, but this Saturday, the running back had 33 carries against Michigan State. He's past 1,000-yard mark. So Big Blue has another one in the race. And then I'm going to throw in another Tennessee player, quarterback Hendon Hooker, who has 21 touchdowns and 1 interception this year. He's not afraid of the big stage. So that's what you want from a college quarterback. And he's going to have another big stage again this Saturday at Georgia. If he beats Georgia, I believe he's going to be number 1. But my number 1 is quarterback C.J. Stroud from Ohio State. He continues to prove the haters wrong, which I love that about him. He's overcome adversity in the first half with Penn State's defense being all over him. He was dealing with the pocket pressure, and he dominated in the fourth quarter. Right now, Stroud has 2,377 yards and 4 interceptions. But the goal is getting Ohio State a natty. They are craving for a natty again, and I think CJ is going to be their guy. He's on a revenge tour because he feels like he should have won the Heisman last year. So
absolutely, yeah. Stroud does seem like a runaway favorite right now, but I really like Hooker for Tennessee, and having Wyatt on there too, it just speaks to how good Tennessee's offense has been to have 2 Heisman contenders on the same team. Wow. So let's zero in on a Big 12 matchup where Kansas State beat Oklahoma State 48-0 and looked great doing it this past weekend. Given Texas's struggles last time we saw them play, what does Texas need to do to have a chance at beating K-State?
Right now, Texas is like a sinking ship. They're looking like they did last year, especially with the defense. The defense needs to step up, and they're going back into their old habits again. They lost Anthony Cook and Ryan Watts, who are day by day right now, which the bye week was a good week for them. They need to find a way to stop Will Howard and Deuce Vaughn. Vaughn is a really, really good running back, and you're going to need to stop him to stop Kent State. He's been their juggernaut. He's basically our Bijan. So if you stop Bijan, you stop Texas. That's me. Vaughn. If you stop Vaughn, you stop Kent State. But for offense, Quinn cannot play the way he's been playing. He got by with Iowa State because they won, but we did see an exposure of his upsets. So we need less interceptions, and he needs to make good decisions in the pocket. And keep the run game. Let Bijan and Roshan do their thing. Let them cook, basically. Find a way to. He has a problem with connecting with Xavier Worthy. He needs to connect with Xavier Worthy and other wide receivers. There's Jordan Whittington. He's doing really good this year. And Bert Auburn, he needs to make his field goals. If they can fix all these problems, they can win their first road game this season.
Absolutely, yeah. I think your point of Quinn having to cut down on those errant throws, we saw them kill a lot of drives at Oklahoma State because of those throws that just sailed over Worthy's head. But I think that if the defense holds strong and if Bijan and Roshan run hard, Texas has a good chance this weekend.
Yeah.
All right, Edly, thank you so much for that analysis, and thank you for joining us tonight. Now, Jason, I'll kick it back to you at the desk.
Thank you very much, Edly and Jordan. When we come back to College Press Box, the World Series moves to Philadelphia. We'll find out if the Phillies or the Astros have the advantage. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to College Press Box. Well, the World Series is in full swing between the Astros and the Phillies. Swing like a baseball bat? No one? Okay. Yeah, there we go. So let's head to Jason and our baseball analyst to break it down for you.
Now I'd like to welcome in our MLB analysts, Ryan Swantkowski and James Winkin. Very happy to be on with both of you tonight, talking a little fall classic. So taking a glance at the regular season records of the two teams coming in, some people might have been a little surprised that the World Series was Astros-Phillies. So James, tell us, how did we get to the point of this matchup?
Well, throughout the season, we all had a 50-50 shot knowing who was going to punch their ticket to the Holy Grail from the AL, with the Yankees and Astros being dominant throughout the whole year. But it would be the Astros with their secret weapon being Jeremy Pena. Pena especially stepping up during the ALCS, and he was rewarded, becoming the ALCS MVP. As for the Phillies, nobody saw them stepping up and punching their ticket. If anything, at the start of the season, many thought that it would have been like the Mets or the Dodgers, who were going to steamroll through, but definitely not the Phillies. What the Phillies did, though, in order to secure their way to the World Series, was hitting in a timely manner. They also had a great 1-2 punch in Nola and Wheeler, but it was those bats that especially helped them out and win out. Also, Castellanos' defense especially stepped up, and he was so stellar, making those key sliding catches out in the outfield.
Yeah, that catch from Castellanos in Game 1 was massive, saving the game for Philadelphia. Now, on your Jeremy Pena note, I want to ask Ryan, who's especially big on Jeremy Pena, what are your biggest takeaways from the series to this point?
I would say my biggest takeaways regard how Altuve has hit thus far in the series and how the Phillies bullpen, surprisingly, has stepped up through the first two games. With Altuve, he had an 0-25 hitless streak until Game 3 against the Yankees, which is the second longest in postseason history. Since that game, though, Altuve has been money. He's got a .545 batting average since that Game 3, and has started to raise his front leg more. That he normally does when he bats, which helps him actually score out better on the ball.
Okay.
Saw some great analysts on that, stuff like that. So Altuve has really found his stride, and the Phillies need to be careful with him moving forward. With the Phillies, they're known for their starting pitching, such as studs like Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler, like he mentioned earlier. Yet their bullpen should be getting the hype as of now. Their pen has yet to give up a run in the World Series, and now have their high-leverage relievers rested up after a few days of rest and the game being postponed tonight. So now they're going to be able to come out and really show off their best stuff. So those are my few takeaways to keep an eye on thus far in the World Series.
And like you said, the game was postponed tonight. Unfortunate for us baseball fans, I think a Game 3 Halloween night in Philadelphia would have been awesome, but it does not defeat the fact that 3 consecutive games will be played in Philadelphia. How do you think that the crazy Philadelphia environment will affect the Astros, and what do they need to do to control the crowd?
Well, the Astros have already been faced with a hectic crowd of New York. Of course, Philly is a different atmosphere, but I don't think that the setting will have much effect on Houston's performance. They have adopted the role of being the most hated team in baseball up to date and haven't let the haters get to them. Day in and day out, they've been winning. Do I think that they'll be able to sweep the Phillies in enemy territory? No. But I don't think that the Phillies will keep their reign of being undefeated at home, the same way as Houston was unable to keep their undefeated streak in the postseason alive.
Yeah, he had some great points. I would overall agree with James here, but I do think Houston could actually sweep in Philadelphia. Honestly, I don't think the Astros will really be that affected too much by that Philly crowd. Houston has now been in the World Series 4 times in the last 6 years, and they already have that experience of playing in extremely tough environments like Yankee Stadium this year. So I don't think the environment will affect them too much. Yet, that crowd is still quite chaotic, as it is their first World Series since 2008. For Houston to control that crowd, they have to be clean in the field. Fans feed off of errors in the field, and they completely shift the momentum of a baseball game. So, if Houston doesn't force anything, stays calm, and has no errors, I think they can, for the most part, rein that crowd in.
Thanks for joining us, James and Ryan, and thank you for that great lap around the base, like baseball, get it, bases. Sorry. When we return, let's hope the next block is a real home run, as we'll discuss some of the best happenings in the National Football League. You won't want to miss it. Welcome back into College Press Box. Well, the NFL never fails to give us viewers a heavy dose of excitement week in and week out. So let's kick it to our football analyst, Adam Ogburn, to guide us through all that happened this past Sunday around the league.
Hey, thanks, Jordan. It was another full weekend of NFL action with 13 games yesterday. And with the London game early in the morning, that meant 14 full hours of NFL action. Let's dive right in. A quick recap of everything that happened yesterday. And we're going to start off in London. The Broncos taking on the Jaguars. We're going to pick this one up late in the fourth quarter. Latavius Murray going to get in for the score to put the Broncos ahead. This one with under 2 minutes to go gives them a 21-17 lead. But the Jaguars one last chance. Trevor Lawrence, but he's going to be picked off by Patrick Surtain. That one gives the Broncos a snap their 4-game losing streak in a 21-17 victory. Now over to the Motor City Detroit. They jump out to a 14-0 lead. Goff finding DeAndre Swift there for the Dolphins. The king of comebacks, they come back again as Tua finds Mike Gesicki, gives Miami a 31-27 lead. One they would hold on to in the fourth quarter for another victory. Lions fall to 1-6 on the year. Now the Lions, NFC North neighbors, the Vikings, look at this. Noted dual threat quarterback Kirk Cousins. Well, he is on this play, 17 yards down the sideline to give the Vikings a 7-0 lead. The Cardinals fight back in this one. They make it close late on 28-26. But Kirk Cousins is going to put it away. Nice 5-yard touchdown pass there to KJ Osborne to ice it for a 34-26 victory. Now the Cowboys and the Bears. Dak Prescott back for the boys, looking to lead them to a victory as he delivers a dart to CeeDee Lamb across the middle. That one a 21-yard touchdown to make it 14-0. The Bears made it close at one point, but the Cowboys putting it away right here. Look at this, Justin Fields scrambling. He's going to find David Montgomery across the middle. But Leighton Van Der Esch, he's going to knock the ball loose right there. Micah Parsons, the Bears player jumps over. He doesn't touch Parsons down. Parsons gets up, and he's going to run this all the way back for a 30-yard scoop and score to put the Cowboys up 42-23. They go on to win that one 49-29. They improved to 6-2. How about the NFC East this year? Meanwhile, in New Orleans, the Saints dominate over the Raiders, a 24-0 win. Alvin Kamara, 9 catches for 96 yards and 2 scores. Saints, they're staying in the NFC South race at 3-5 on the year. Now the Battle of Pennsylvania, the Eagles and the Steelers. Jalen Hurts going up top to A.J. Brown, who comes down with it for a 39-yard score. Brown had a massive day. 6 catches for 156 yards and 3 touchdowns, including this one right here. Look at this sandwich in between 2 defenders. He tells them to sit down as the Eagles go on to score a 35-13 victory. Patriots and the Jets, this one a close one, a defensive struggle, and it was also a field goal kicking contest. Nick Folk, he's going to nail 5 field goals for the Patriots to lead them past the Jets 22-17. Patriots now only a game back of the Jets as they improved to 4-4 on the year. This game, though, was clearly the best of the morning window. Deontay Foreman getting in for the Panthers to put them up 28-24, but the Falcons respond right back. Marcus Mariota, he's going to find Damiere Byrd, and Byrd is going to score a whining 47-yard touchdown. He breaks down the sideline there to restore the Falcons' advantage. But this game was not done with the drama, not yet. Closing seconds, Panthers down by 6. P.J. Walker keeping the play live. He's going to heave this one 65 yards to the end zone for D.J. Moore, who probably comes down with a touchdown. But he celebrates by taking off his helmet. The refs flagging for unsportsmanlike conduct, excessive celebration, and Eddie Pinheiro, he misses the extra point. Now in overtime, Pinheiro, another chance to win it, but again it's wide. Misses a 33-yard field goal attempt, and that's going to give Younghoe Koo the opportunity he needs for Atlanta to win it on a 41-yard field goal. Atlanta now top of the NFC South at 4-4. Now into the afternoon window we go. We're going to go down to the AFC South, and this was the Derrick Henry show in Houston. Henry with 219 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, including this one in the second quarter. Titans win this one 17-10. They maintain their lead atop the AFC South. Meanwhile, out west, talking about running back domination, this one was the Christian McCaffrey show. He's going to start off with a nice passing touchdown. Look at this, over the top to Brandon Ayuk for a 34-yard score to tie the game at 7. Now into the second half we go. McCaffrey can go on the board with a nice receiving touchdown. Look at this, along the sideline. Nice grab in the end zone. He can do it all. Caps it off with a rushing touchdown. First player since 2005 to have a passing touchdown, rushing touchdown, and receiving touchdown in the game. 49ers win this one 31-14. Seahawks and Giants. Geno Smith keeping the Seahawks rolling as he finds Tyler Lockett for a 33-yard score. The Giants, they kept finding ways to win the games this year, but not in this one. Kenneth Walker breaks free for a 16-yard score. Hey, Seahawks top of the NFC West. They're 5-3, 8 games into the year. a lot of people now, as we move over to Indianapolis, we're keeping eyes on this game. Sam Ehlinger making his first NFL start as Nyheim Hines putting the Colts up by 2 scores. That makes it 16-7 with that touchdown, but the Commanders come back. Taylor Heineke, he's going to air it out to Terry McLaurin, who's going to come down with it, the 1-yard line, with just 30 seconds remaining, and that sets the stage for Heineke to finish this drive off a 1-yard quarterback sneak. Commanders take a 1-point lead after the extra point. Last chance though, Sam Ehlinger looking to be a hero for the Colts, biding his time. He's going to look downfield. Michael Pittman looks like a sure grab, but it goes through his hands, and that extinguishes the Colts' hope of a miracle comeback. They fall 17-16, a heartbreaker. And then last but not least, the Bills and the Packers, and the Bills still just as good. Josh Allen finding Stephon Diggs for a 26-yard score. The Bills were always in control in this one. Isaiah McKenzie adding another score on a 7-yard jet sweep. Bills go on to win this one 27-17. And now with week 8 almost in the books, Bengals and Browns going on right now, we're quickly approaching the midway point of the NFL season. So let's take a real quick look at the divisional leaders so far this year. And in the AFC, it's business as usual with the Bills and the Chiefs and the Titans at top. AFC North, it's going to be an interesting one. Bengals could go level with the Ravens at 5-3 with a win tonight. The NFC a little bit more topsy-turvy. How about the undefeated Eagles atop the East? The one-loss Vikings atop the North. The Seattle Seahawks hanging on in the NFC West. They're at 5-3, but the 49ers hot on their heels at 4-4. And then the NFC South, well, that is a crapshoot. Falcons on top of it, 4-4, but the Saints, Bucks, and Panthers, they're all in the race. We'll see if Tom Brady can turn things around. That's it for NFL Week 8. Jason, Jordan, back to you guys.
Thank you very much for that, Adam. Very exciting and insightful. When we return, we recap the past week in Texas sports. There was a lot to recap, so you certainly won't want to miss it. Stay with us. We'll be back after this.
Welcome back into College Press Box. Now let's recap the last week in Longhorn sports. Texas women's basketball competed against DePaul University in a charity exhibition game yesterday at the Moody Center. Sonia Morris and Aaliyah Moore led the way on offense, scoring over 20 points each, contributing to an impressive final score of 105-62.
Number 12, Texas men's basketball absolutely beat the brakes off of number 10, Arkansas on Saturday in, yes, a charity exhibition game, winning by the score of 90-60. 5 Longhorns finished in double figures, but it was freshman point guard Arturio Morris leading the way with Texas, scoring 15 points in his collegiate debut.
Number 2, Texas volleyball rallied after dropping the first set to defeat Kansas State in Manhattan on Friday. This win marked Jared Elliott's 600th win as a head coach and 550th win at Texas, so congratulations, Coach Elliott.
17th ranked Texas soccer kicked off the Big 12 championship with a 4-0 shutout win over Kansas State. 4 different Longhorns scored in the win, but it was Lexi Misimo leading the way again. She had a goal and 2 assists in the winning effort. They are back in action in the quarterfinals against West Virginia on Thursday.
Taking a look ahead at this week in Longhorn sports, number 2, Texas volleyball takes on TCU up in Fort Worth on Wednesday evening. You can watch that on Big 12 Now on ESPN+. The very next day, Texas women's soccer faces off against West Virginia in the Big 12 championship semifinals at 4:30. That's the game Jason was talking about. That'll also be available to watch on ESPN+. Texas women's basketball competes in another exhibition match against Wayland Baptist University Friday at 7 p.m. in the Moody Center. And admission is free for that game, so be sure to turn out and support this Texas women's basketball team. And finally, Texas football returns after their bye week to face off against the Red State Kansas State Wildcats. On Saturday evening, you can watch that game on FS1.
That will wrap things up for this week's episode of College Press Box. Please make sure to tune into our other shows this week, including Crossfire, hosted by our Tommy Yarish on Wednesday nights, and 1-0 Sports on Friday. Thank you to our analysts, everyone in Master Control, our wonderful executive producer Samantha Pearl, and everyone else at TSTV. I'm Jason Kinander. He's Jordan Geelhoed. Thank you for joining us. Have a great night.